Yes.
Here we go. Hello, everyone. This is Jim McCarthy, I'm the Chair of the Metro Plan Board. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is April 7th, 2022. So we are called to order.
Hello, everyone.
Could we do a roll call, please?
Mr. Chairman, if it's okay, I'd like to do roll call as part of the introductions and then send the agenda back to you for the business meeting.
That'll work. Go for it.
Hello? I
Okay.
can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hear you. You can't hear us. Give Supervisor Vasquez a second to see if he can get his speaker worked out.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Okay. Thank you all for being here. We have some lofty goals and we have 2 hours and it's a lot to fit in. The 3 goals are building rapport and a sense of success across the organization. That's why we've got the TAC and the board and staff and the management committee all together. I've highlighted learning from last year's experiences and applying those lessons because that really feels like the meat of the value of this event today. And then crafting specific measurable objectives. And as you all know, Zoom has some challenges and opportunities. It might be that we're more familiar with Zoom meetings than we are meeting in person after a couple of years. But just a few reminders to keep this meeting alive. Please mute when you're not speaking. It helps reduce the background noise for everyone else. Please keep your camera on if you can. I know you may all be multitasking. I'm frankly just really glad that you're here. But to the extent you can keep the camera on, it makes the meeting more vital. And let's take a minute. Everybody make sure you can find your mute button. And just on the count of 3, say, good afternoon. 1, 2, 3.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, fantastic. And there's a chat box. So on your screen, you'll see a way to write something into chat. And if you could each just open that up and just type anything. Good afternoon, a Shakespeare quote, what you had for breakfast, the name of your cat, whatever. Just recognizing it's a public meeting, so if your cat is named something inappropriate, do not indicate the name of your cat. All right, I'm seeing them come in. Excellent, thank you. So we will be using those functions today, and I have the agenda we're going to go through. This screen will keep popping up and I'll highlight where we are on different sections as we go. And Rosie is going to paste this agenda in chat so that you can scroll back up if you do want to reference it. And we're going to start with introductions. I'm going to call names somewhat randomly and ask everybody to say their name, title, how they're affiliated with Metro Plan, and then a 2 to 3 word aspiration. And I'm going to start with staff so you all have a chance to warm up. And actually, once I call Rosie, Rosie's going to continue calling everyone else because that's going to serve as the roll call function for this meeting. So my name's Jeff Meilbeck. I go by Miles. I am the executive director of Metro Plan, and a 2-word aspiration for me is to improve relationships. And I'm going to call Dave now.
Good afternoon. David Wetzel, planning manager for Metro Plan. And complete stride forward.
Thank you, Dave. Mandia.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mandia Gonzalez. I'm a transportation planner for Metro Plan, and my aspiration would be to expand transportation choices.
Thank you, Mandia. Jacob.
Hello, everyone. My name's Jacob Moffo. I'm the planning intern for MetroPlan. And my two-word aspiration for MetroPlan would be to improve relationships as well.
Thank you, Jacob. And I'm going to call Rosie, and then Rosie is going to continue on with the roll call of everyone else. Rosie.
Hi, I'm Rosie Ware. I'm the business manager for MetroPlan. And my aspiration would be secure more funds. And with that, I will start with our executive board members, Jim McCarthy.
Hello, everybody. Jim McCarthy. I'm one of the reps from the city of Flagstaff and the chair. And my two-word comment is get them there safely.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. The next would be Geronimo Vasquez.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Geronimo Vasquez. I'm Coconino County Board of Supervisors, District 2, and current vice chair. And I guess my 2 or 3 word aspiration would also be to improve relationships. And since people did 4, I'll say and secure more funds. So 5.
Patrice Horseman.
Yes, hi. Good afternoon, everyone. Patrice Horseman. I am on Board of Supervisors. I'm District 1, right next door to Geronimo Vasquez. And I am chair of the Board of Supervisors. And my word would be relationships and achievement.
Austin Aslan.
And Rosie, Austin indicated he's unable to speak now.
Oh, we'll come back to him then. Tony Williams.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tony Williams. I'm the Vice President of Student Services at Coconino Community College, and I serve on the MetroPlan as the Mountain Lion Board's representative. 2 to 3 words, I aspire to promote positive collaborations.
Regina Salas.
Howdy, everybody. I serve on my 4th year on City Council and on the MetroPlan board as well, representing the city. But also as a MetroPlan board member, I represent MetroPlan in the statewide Rural Transportation Advocacy Council. So do I get 2 versions of my aspirations on behalf of MetroPlan and behalf of RTAC? Okay, on behalf of RTAC, which is the statewide advocacy from Fredonia to Yuma, is bring dollars. Bring dollars, state and federal dollars to our transportation projects in rural Arizona. And for MetroPlan is galvanize synergies.
Thank you. Jesse Thompson.
Good afternoon. My name is Jesse Thompson. I'm a member of the State Transportation Board. And I just like to work cooperatively with everyone. Thank you very much.
Next, we'll move on to others in attendance. We have Kate Morley.
Hey, Kate Morley, I'm the Deputy General Manager. I serve as an alternate on management and TAC committees. And my 2 or 3 words are build partnerships.
Thank you. Greg Clifton.
Good afternoon, everybody. Greg Clifton. People do sometimes call me Clifton, and I'm okay with that. I serve as manager for the city of Flagstaff. My 2 words would be accomplish goals.
Thank you. Ann Dunno.
Yes, I'm Ann Dunno. I'm the Mountain Lion Capital Project Manager. I sit on MetroPlan's TAC. My 3-word aspiration for MetroPlan is write more grants.
Dan Folk.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Dan Folk. I'm the Community Development Director for the City of Flagstaff. And my 3-word inspiration is keep on growing.
Jeff Bauman.
Hello, I'm Jeff Bowman. I'm not in my camera. Hello, I'm Jeff Bowman. I'm the city traffic engineer and I sit on the TAC and have for a few years. I'd like this year to be the year for major grant success. We've tried and tried, and this is the year. Thanks.
Thanks. Jason James.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jason James, Regional Planning Program Manager for ADOT Multimodal Planning. My affiliation with MetroPlan is I serve on the TAC as a chairman. And my 2-word inspiration is actually our ADOT mission, which is safely home. Thank you.
Thank you. Rick Barrett.
Afternoon. I am Rick Barrett, the engineer and engineering director, of course, City of Flagstaff. I serve as a member of the Technical Advisory Committee for MetroPlan. Words are provide nimble expertise.
Thank you, Rick. Josh Mayer.
Afternoon, everybody. Josh Mayer. I'm the Associate Vice President for Community Relations at NAU. I'm on the Management Committee, and my 2 words are foster connectedness.
Thank you, Josh. Ed Stillings.
Afternoon. Ed Stillings. I am the Senior Transportation Planner for Federal Highway Administration, and I'm also the MetroPlan liaison for planning. And I would say visionary transportation leadership.
Thank you. Cheryl Barlow. Maybe not. Michelle McNulty.
Hi, I'm Michelle McNulty. I'm the planning director for the city of Flagstaff. I'm also a TAC member. My 2 to 3 word aspiration would be transportation and land use connectivity.
Thank you. Linda Curley.
Afternoon, everyone. I am Linda Curley, Community Liaison for District 4 Supervisor Judy Buchanan. Thank you.
I think that concludes our introductions unless I missed anyone. If so, please speak now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Rosie. Before we get started, I just want to note, we're almost 15 minutes into a 2-hour meeting with a lot to talk about. So we'll try to move right along. Rosie, do we have any public comment today?
Chair McCarthy, no, we do not have any public comment.
All right, so then we can move on to the consent agenda. I trust everyone's had a chance to look at that. And of course, only board members can vote on this. So just to keep things moving, I propose that we approve the consent agenda as written. If anyone has anything that they want to pull, let me know and we can do that.
So moved.
All right, so I moved it, and Patrice, I believe, will get the second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All board members in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any no votes? That motion passes unanimously. So I think at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Mailbeck, Miles, and we're going to start the strategic advance. Thank you, Miles.
Thank you. So we are now right back on time, thanks to Chair McCarthy jumping in. And so 1:15, we're going to practice pop-up survey and breakout rooms. This is somewhat of a new tech interface for us. I want to recognize Sarah Dector, who shared it with us, and Mandy Gonzalez for working to figure out the details, and the staff team over the past week or two. And with pop-up survey, the first thing I'm going to do is ask Rosie to put this practice survey up on the screen and ask everybody to go ahead. You should be able to see what is the brand of MetroPlan's new 25-year plan. Pick one of the choices that you believe the brand to be, and it'll just be open for a few minutes or a few seconds, really, if you try to just get in there. And Mapping the Future, Stride Backward, Stride Forward, or Blueprint 2045. I'm not seeing any answers coming in. Are you, Rosie?
Yes,
Okay.
here we are. That's everyone, or close to everyone.
Okay. 88%. I'm taking the Stride Backward as sarcastic. So thank you. That's how the pop-up survey works, and most of you know our brand. And we're going to practice breakout room. And Rosie's going to put us into rooms. And Dave, Jacob, and Kate are going to moderate and report out. So this is only going to take a minute. It will allow you, though, to practice the interface we're going to be using for the heart of this meeting. And when you go into the rooms, and you may be pulled in there at any second by Rosie, going to ask your group to name something MetroPlan did in the past year that advanced our mission being leverage cooperation to maximize financial and political resources for a premier transportation system. They're all just words if we don't have actions. So if you are aware of actions we did that are consistent with that, we'd like your group to point them out, and then we'll come back in the room and report. So Rosie, are you ready to put people into their rooms?
Yes, I just opened the rooms.
Okay.
Think everyone is in a room, except Linda. I wasn't sure about. Are we? Should she go to a room too?
I don't think so. She can if she wants to, of course, but.
Oh,
No,
and-
that's fine. I'm okay.
Okay. Thank you. And we're giving them.
Okay, so people in the red room, can you hear me?
So Dave's gonna hear both rooms.
I can hear you.
Are people in the, say, people in the red room, can you hear me? Let me try this. People in the red room, can you hear me? Yeah, but I'm not hearing anybody else. Wow, I am going to. Rosie, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, Dave. I can hear you.
I'm not hearing anybody in this room except for Jesse, who's in this room.
You
Let me see
might,
if I
Dave,
can
you know what?
join.
You might need to go to your office with your laptop. Otherwise, you're gonna have one meeting or the other going, not both.
Yep. There we go. Oh, he had to accept it as the.
Oh.
From the breakout room computer.
Okay.
I mean, from the conference room computer.
All right. So once he gets in there, he's gonna have to pull up the moderator's group map. So let's just give him another minute.
Yeah, folks are still adding content.
Mandia, can you put the master screen up?
There we go. Can you see it okay?
Yeah. So Rosie, I think you can just go ahead and close the rooms. People will be pulled back in here.
And for the group, that is ADOT, not adopt.
Dot.
Okay, looks like everyone's coming back into the main room. All right. 1 second, I just lost my big view of this. So I'm having a hard time reading. Thank you all for that. I know we had one bug at least with one group, but that's why we practiced it. And as you write, when you're in those rooms, it's going to populate a main screen that Mandia will then put up on the screen. And some of the items here that you identified, leading a multi-agency effort alphabet soup grant, which was for technology, and other things here played a key role in facilitation for the Milton Corridor Master Plan, the mini grant program, so a number of other things. Thank you for pointing them all out. And give me 1 second to get my, oh, that's much better, bigger screen back. So that's how they work. And I'm going to take screen share back from you, Mandia. And I'm going to go back to, can you all see the PowerPoint slide?
No.
You can't yet. Okay.
We see your face with MetroPlan in the back. It's a nice face, though.
Thank you. I hope I just improved the view by putting the PowerPoint screen up.
It's visible.
Excellent. Okay, so back to this agenda. You've practiced breakout rooms. We're now ahead of schedule. And I'm going to review the 2020 results. And the report of the 2020 work plan, a couple of things. One, so that we are accountable to everything the board asked us to do, whether we succeeded, dropped the ball, it's in progress, whatever it is, we want to be accountable and learn and apply those lessons to the coming year. And then the other purpose is to reorient you all to our work. And for those of you who are very new, it's somewhat of an initial orientation. I recognize you are all immersed in so many projects, topics, organizations. So this is to get the momentum going for MetroPlan's work. This is going to be a quick overview. I'm going to move pretty fast. I'm just going to ask anybody who wants to jump in and say, hey, wait a minute, stop. I got a question, or I didn't get that. There's 20 items I'm going to report on. So first of all, I'm sharing the simplest planning model ever. It asks 3 questions, really. Where do we want to go? And that's our vision and our mission. Where are we right now? That's about taking inventory and accountability. That's this report, for one thing. And a bit later, we're going to do a SWOT analysis on a key issue related to funding. And then, of course, how do we get where we want to go? And that is where we create measurable objectives. And we just keep running this cycle throughout the year and in a very formal way at this annual advance. So our vision is to create the finest transportation system in the country. And we're actually going to test this vision in a few minutes and see if it still resonates with this organization. Our mission, which you just reflected on, is to leverage cooperation to maximize financial and political resources to actually build that system. And when I give the report, I've put things in green, yellow, and red. So if I show it as green, we're on or ahead of schedule, yellow means we're behind schedule, and red means it's stalled out or perhaps nothing has been done. So 20 items. The first one is completing MetroPlan's regional transportation plan, Stride Forward. That is a green light. It's on schedule. Expect to bring it to the board for approval in December. Next one is to initiate the West Route 66 planning process. This is yellow because we started and we're still working it. We moved funds as a priority to the downtown mile. And we're taking this work in-house, addressing it somewhat in Stride Forward, but we're going to pick up on it as staff where Stride Forward leaves off. Next item is to consider pursuing an additional $300,000 for the Lone Tree traffic interchange. And this is really similar to the last slide. We moved funds to the downtown mile. We're taking it in-house after it's been addressed in Stride Forward. But I put a red on here too, to just be really candid that it's hard. I've had a difficult time really finding handles on this project. And if it still really resonates with this group, hopefully that will be revealed and come forward in the advance today. Next item is to develop a plan to support electrification of public and private vehicle fleets by the end of this year. This is also a green light. We reviewed a strategy yesterday. It's part of Stride Forward. There's funding in Bill IIJA. I'm going to call it Bill IIJA. It is the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. Next is develop a regional approach to maintaining vehicle miles at 2019 levels. This is a green light. It's included in the Stride Forward scope, but then we had the opportunity to partner with Sustainability Department at City of Flagstaff. Our kickoff for that effort is going to be May 3rd. Invitations went out this week to people to do that initial workshop. Next is to define what it means to be the finest transportation system in the country. This is included in the scope of Stride Forward. There's lots of public engagement. We're going to talk about it a little bit here later in this advance as well. Next is to investigate opportunities to promote transportation, all modes, through a mobile app and being addressed in Stride Forward. And we have plans for a paper toward the end of the year on schedule with this objective. Next is to update the project prioritization matrix. And just a reminder, there's hundreds of projects out there, at least a couple hundred, and we were asked to very formally take them through a filter. We did that over 6 meetings last year, 2 meetings of the board, of the TAC, and of management, and got clear on what priorities projects you want us to work on. Next is to develop a feedback loop to keep everybody informed of changes. And I put this one as yellow, even though we did it, because we didn't adopt a policy. And frankly, it just didn't feel like a policy was needed. So we've made an effort, though, to stay in close communication. And the best example of that I can give you is with the downtown mile. The urgency and opportunity for that project became very clear. So we, MetroPlan, moved almost $500,000 out of other projects to that project. And we had the support of all the member agencies in doing that. The next one is to develop a structured, transparent process to bring issues to the table. And this came out of an understanding that although we are all transportation organizations, we don't all see everything the same way. And the best example is Mountain Line is understandably very focused on transit. ADOT is traditionally more focused on roads and highways. We don't always see things the same way. And I brought a formal report to the board about, is there a role for MetroPlan? And the really clear direction I got was, it's not a problem until it's a problem. Let's take it on a case by case basis. We don't need to put a policy in place preemptively. And that's how we wrapped up that goal. Next is to continue the mini grant program and award a project that has multi-agency benefit, which we did. Again, this is, we doubled the amount this year, and it evolved into a sustainability toolbox contract with the sustainability department. Next is to explore traditional and creative funding mechanisms and report on how to establish a diverse and stable funding strategy. And I'm putting this as a yellow light. A green light would be that we've had a draft of a report out to you. A lot has happened, and the focus has really been on Bill IIJA. So this item is still a goal. However, with Bill IIJA, the world has changed, and figuring out all those parts and how we fit into them and they fit into us is going to take a bit longer because of the massive opportunity that's been created. And I think this item will still happen. It just won't happen in the next 2 months. Then educate state leadership about the value of indexing the gas tax for inflation. And this one morphed a bit. There has been a lot of effort with the Rural Transportation Advocacy Council. I want to recognize Kevin Adam, who's the legislative liaison, Councilmember Salas, who serves on the RTAC board, Supervisor Vasquez is alternate to the RTAC board, and they participate very actively. I will say we don't have time for a full report here. Suffice it to say, though, that the $2.6 million for Lone Tree is still in play. And if we don't get the Lone Tree funding from the state, there's $10 million for Highway 180, which is outside of the city boundary, but inside the Metro Plan boundary, as well as $15 million on the Navajo Nation and Coconino County. So that's very much in play. How it ends up being approved in the governor's budget, we're still tracking and working on every day. I do want to also add that in red that the gas tax was DOA, and that's not Department of Agriculture. That is dead on arrival. There was no political support at the state for indexing the gas tax. Next is to identify and scope projects for federal and state earmarks. Because we anticipated they would be coming back. They in fact have. And this is a green light. Applications for Lone Tree and planning were submitted in 2022. They were not funded. Metro Plan submitted applications just recently, and possible application, I think the city is looking carefully at this, and they've shared with me a number of earmarks they're going to be asking for that might include Cedar and Fourth in 2023. Next is securing $2 million in additional resources, including signal technology. I put it as yellow. I could call it green. We're on track, but I'm calling it yellow, and we're going to do a SWOT analysis today because I want to challenge us. Basically, we didn't yet get a check. So it's not green until we have a check. And when we wrote this objective, Bill IIJA did not exist. And Bill IIJA is, I don't think it's an overstatement to say it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, our lifetimes. So we're going to be opening this up for discussion today with all of you to see what you think. We were asked to look at and evaluate the need for additional staff, and I'm very happy to say, yay, we hired Mandia Gonzalez last October, and are very glad you're here, Mandia. We were asked to evaluate how Metro Plan can best support that nexus of projects with the Milton Road underpass, and this is a mouthful of an objective because it's a handful of a project. There was a lot of discussion on this and that shift throughout the year where And I just want to say, to me, this is an example of meeting our mission of financial and political leverage. To me, it's also an example of agility and the ability to pivot and move our resources where the priorities are. And that's where $500,000 was moved so that this work can be done without it being contingent on an external federal grant. Next is to participate in, review, and take formal action on the ADOT's Milton Highway 180 plan. I put this as a yellow light. We're waiting to hear from ADOT. They're in there continuing to work this planning effort. I think this is the third year we've carried this objective. It's really close, and we're waiting on final resolution to an escalation process related to pedestrian crosswalks on Milton. So hopefully just after the first of the year, or soon within this year, we'll have an answer. This one's very much a yellow light. Broadband. There was a request for us to support broadband efforts. There hasn't been a lot of activity on Metro Plan's part. Our request is really just to support requests that go out, so it's not a very high bar. But in all candor, there hasn't been a whole lot happen with this. And then participating in city-led outreach and design efforts on Lone Tree Corridor and the Lone Tree Railroad Overpass. So from Metro Plan's perspective, the scope statement was completed. A planning environmental linkages project is underway, which will help attract funds, competitive funds to the project. And the city has done a tremendous amount of work on this in many council meetings, particularly around the Lone Tree Railroad Overpass in the last few months. So those are our 20 objectives reported out. And before I go to our pop-up survey, I want to pause, take a breath, have a drink of water, and see if there are any questions or comments from anyone in the room. Okay. I'm in my downtown office, so if you hear a Harley in the background, it's because there's a Harley in the background. I hope it's not too disturbing. And Rosie just put a pop-up survey up. And so I want to share that in my evaluation, one person, some feedback came in and it was all anonymous, but that the building the finest transportation system in the country is too lofty of a vision for Metro Plan, and perhaps we should tone it down. So I just wanted to take the temperature of the room here and ask people very simply, do you want us to, stay ambitious, keep it as it is, with this philosophy that visions are supposed to be a stretch and very lofty? Or do you want us to recognize, maybe we need to tone it back a bit and narrow it down? And we're not going to do any wordsmithing today. I just want to see where people generally are with this choice. So please go ahead and answer that question. And in just a little bit, Rosie will put the results up. Okay. I don't know if results are still coming in. If this were an election, I would call it a mandate, but it's not an election. So I think there's a significant chunk of folks with the tone it back and narrow it down. So, I'll consider that in coming weeks as one of the findings of this advance. And I know we could get into a discussion on this and any of the 20 topics I just brought up. In the interest of staying on a strategic advance in our limited time, I'm gonna keep us rolling. All right, so if the pop-up quiz results are still there, you can close that box and you should still be able to see the PowerPoint. And where we are at right now is a full room SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, analysis on funding. So there's really two key parts to this meeting where we're going to ask you to really weigh in and give us your thoughts and ideas. And the SWOT analysis is one of them. And let me just introduce this a bit. This is in advance, and the last 2 years we have surveyed everyone to get input on what are the greatest opportunities for MetroPlan. And really, we now have a solid 2 to 3 years with this staff team, including the recent addition of Mandia. And MetroPlan has been independent now for almost 2 years. And as I reviewed the greatest opportunities identified last year, it's pretty clear they are as relevant, if not more relevant than ever. And as you look at the 3 bullets on the screen, and I want to confirm you can all still see the PowerPoint slide. Okay, thank you. 3 bullets here. Basically, get funding, facilitate cooperation, and then leadership to challenge the status quo. And there's really one topic that brings all these opportunities together, and that's federal funding. And I guess what I want to acknowledge that in my view, we haven't been successful enough, and I'll own this as MetroPlan, we have not been successful enough bringing in federal transportation funding to our region. And I do want to acknowledge some successes though. Mountain Line has landed inordinate amounts of federal funding, and I want to recognize Heather and Kate, Estella, Ann, who's in the room, their whole team for delivering. I want to recognize the 4th Street widening was done, and the city and ADOT for bringing those funds and doing that project. And there is a new $5.5 million grant that was brought in for bike and ped. It was written by Mountain Line. It was leveraged thanks to the leadership of the city manager, Greg Clifton. And in my view is one of the really striking clear benefits of this kind of new partnership approach. Because it took all of our organizations to make it happen. And it's great, 5.5 million. And it was 2 years ago now. So I'm going to point out that, clearly we, and I'm recognizing everybody in this, MetroPlan and staff from other organizations have tried, and we are trying to attract more funding in transportation areas. There's been a lot of effort. RAISE grants have been written for the past 5 years. We're waiting to hear on earmarks, state funding, and 2 other grants. Actually, I did get news today that we received a $160,000 grant in partnership with Mountain Line. Most of the credit goes to Mountain Line on that one. We also carefully considered low interest loans. And I just learned yesterday that the city is partnering with BNSF to submit a mega grant for the Downtown Mile projects. That's huge. That's really, really big. It's fantastic. And I want to recognize city staff, Bob Holmes, and be clear, mega grant is not something MetroPlan is doing. We do want to support it though, in any way we can. And since we're going into a SWOT analysis, I could just focus on the positive, but I felt like with this advance, it made sense to really just get in there and be blunt and be a little bit challenging and see if we can't start to figure out how we can be more successful together leveraging federal funds. Because as we look at it, the 4th Street widening, great project. It really wasn't a competitive federal grant in the sense of what Bill IIJA offers. The $5.5 million awarded a couple years ago hasn't been spent down or drawn on yet. And all these grants that we've written, RAISE and TEC and earmarks and other transportation federal grants, with the exception of Mountain Line, they haven't been awarded. And the question is, why? How can we do a better job bringing in money? What is blocking our success? So we're going to do a SWOT analysis, and we are not going to be using breakout rooms. we're all going to just weigh in here as a full group. And the primary objective of a SWOT analysis is to help organizations really develop a full awareness of all the factors involved in choosing a business direction. So it's, based on a belief that it's impossible to really accurately map out an organization's future without first evaluating it from all of the angles. And that includes a really exhaustive look at internal and external resources and threats. So internal and external resources and threats. So there are internal strengths and weaknesses related to securing federal funds, things about us, and there are external opportunities and threats, things we don't control that are outside of us. So internal, and I want to ask the room here for what is an example of an internal strength related to federal funds. And this is where I stop talking and don't say another word until 3 o'clock, if necessary, until somebody in the group jumps in to answer this question.
But Jeff, I'll jump in. Jim McCarthy. I think one of our strengths is that we have a very competent staff, and that I'm including MetroPlan staff, city staff, obviously Mountain Line, et cetera. And I think we do have a pretty good degree of cooperation between these various staffs. And I think that's a strength. And, the experience of people like you and the city staff, et cetera, that's a strength.
Thank you. Yeah, did you want to say
I
more?
was just going to say, I want to hear from other people on the call here, board members and non-board members. Anybody can jump in here.
Or I'll jump in. I agree. I think that one of the internal strengths related to federal funding is the team and the background knowledge that can be applied to how to best leverage those funds and how to use them. So I concur. You beat me to the punch, Jim.
My pleasure.
And I love that you're jumping in and there's an example that you're providing and support for it. If you'll just bear with me though, and this might seem a little pedantic, I want to go through each of these so that we all have the same definitions as we all work together on what these are. So, an example of an internal weakness we're going to ask for related to federal funds. So Councilmember McCarthy, internally staff is clearly us. And then we'll go into the item on threats, which is an example of an external opportunity. It's not about us, it's about something outside of us. And then the last topic is an external threat. Again, not about us, it's something outside of us that's going to threaten our possible success. And as we go through this, in just a minute, Mandia is going to put a link in chat. Okay, not just yet, but in a minute, it'll pop into chat. And I'm going to ask everyone to click on the link. And when you click on that link, you'll see the screen that's in front of you now. There's a place to enter your email address, and then you click the next button. And when you do that, you'll see this screen. Now, 3 things might happen for the 20 or so people in the room. One, you'll see a screen like this. You'll have no problem switching back and forth. The tech will be easy. And if that's you, go for it. Another group might find out you're going to be taken to another screen. It eclipses your Zoom screen. You're not sure what happened to us. And if that's the case, you've got the screen, just start entering stuff. It will get you back, I promise. And then the other is, for some reason, it might not work for you because of your tech interface, or it's just too confusing. And that's okay, because in about 5 minutes or 10 minutes, after everybody works independently for a while, I'm going to bring everybody back, to focus on one screen. And those of you can participate verbally if you couldn't type in. So if you're ready, and even if you're not, here comes the chat link from Mandia. So go ahead and open the chat box and click on that link. And I see lots of smiles and interest of faces, expressions of people, so it looks like it's working.
This is where it's trying to type.
One
So-
thing
So just as a reminder, take a few minutes here and start filling these out.
Yeah.
And it's going to populate a main screen and we'll all come back and talk about it in just a few minutes. So I can see it looks like you're all still working, so I'm going to give it a couple more minutes and just kind of look up at the screen when you're ready to come back in for full discussion. We're actually doing great on time. If anyone finishes this and needs to step away for a quick break, bio break, really at the top of the hour, 2 o'clock, I'll facilitate a discussion on the big screen. Okay? So 5 minutes from now. Okay, so Mandia, I'm gonna ask you to go ahead and share the master screen of everybody's inputs.
Can you see that all right?
Yeah, I can see it. I do want to ask you a technical question though, Mandia. If you share this and make edits, can other people continue to make edits live while you're sharing this?
Yes.
Okay. So you heard that. You can keep making edits if you want, or you can just focus on the big screen. What I'm going to try to do is facilitate a discussion on all of this to bring some synthesis to it. There is a lot of raw material, and that's great. And we've got 15 minutes or so for this part. And to the extent we can, sort things and group them together in that 15 minutes with the full room, fantastic. And to the extent we can't, then we'll continue to work on it as staff and bring it back to the TAC and the board, and we'll, refine this together. So, Mandy, you just set the timer, and I want to confirm we are not going to prioritize these, right? That's the last exercise. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and start with strengths, internal, and you can see strengths, a desire to succeed. Yeah, I heard a lot of people say that. Jeff Bowman is like, this is the year. Expertise internally. Dedicated transit tax creates ability to leverage funds. It's a huge strength. 419 is a source of local funds to provide leverage. Good relations with outside organizations. We all work together and we work well with people outside of us. Significant experience managing federal funds for all of the member agencies. Competent MP staff. Partnerships. And partnerships that we have together, support for partners, grant applications. So we're not competing with each other, we're supporting each other. Metro Plan projects are supported by regional economic development stakeholders. So it's not just local governments, it is local governments, it's others in the private sector as well. Federal and state inner workings expertise. So collectively as staff, we know how the system works. Lots of determination and resilience. Metro Plan projects fully vetted and approved by voters. So there's a mandate of support. Metro Plan is the local agency designated to receive federal highway funds. We'll need to talk about that one a little bit. Yes, and there's more to that story. We know what project we need. An example of Great City ATP, Alternative Transportation Multimodal Plan. So we know what we want to get done. That makes us competitive. Mountain Lions knowledge and ability to get FTA grants. Skills. Not sure what else to say about that. Collaboration sounds a lot to me like partnership above, collaborative approach, collaboration, extensive partnerships. We have a shared vision. And is there more after a great team? I don't see anything else on my screen, Mandia.
That's the end.
That's the end. Okay. So lots of strengths. Thank you. And as I read through that, does anything come to mind that anybody wants to say to summarize it or add an element that they think might be missing? Okay. Well, then I'll give you another opportunity on each of these to weigh in. Let's go on to internal weaknesses. All right, this is where the self-awareness comes in. Staff capacity to deliver projects, not just get grants. So once we get the grant, we need to be able to deliver. And this suggests that we don't have enough staff to deliver. Understanding, quantifying, and communicating synergy or relationships between priorities. Okay. Housing and transportation and economy. So the granting agencies really want to make sure we articulate those linkages. And this person is suggesting we aren't doing that well enough. And that's great feedback and awareness for us to have. Question if the transit tax is large enough to match all available funds for all the needed projects. There's so many issues facing the community lately. So, right, how do we make this a priority? Priorities are evolving. We're running in so many directions. A need for specific grant writing staff, which I just want to call out this need for grant writing staff and then the need to actually be able to deliver the grants that we get that somebody said above. Determining grant go, no-go confusion between agencies. And I'm going to ask somebody, I'm not sure I know what that means. Would someone be willing to speak to that?
Sure, this is Ann Dunno with Mountain Lion. I wrote that. I think when grants come out, I'll even use the RAISE grant as the recent example. You know, there's external meetings with MetroPlan. I know city meets and kind of verifying, number one, is our region going for this or not? Sorry, are you hearing me?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not always clear who may go for, like, multiple agencies might be eligible to go for certain grants, but determining ultimately, hopefully through MetroPlan's collaborative partnering with agencies, there's clear direction out of our region, you know, what we're going for as a region. And then there's a clear plan on who's writing the grant, who's leading it, all of that. That process, I think, is still vague.
Thank you. Thank you for explaining that. That's really clear and it lands really well. I get it. Okay. Lack of good data on key metrics like economic impact, that can make us not as competitive as we would otherwise be if we had better data. I'm going to summarize these and group them. And if I misrepresent something, just like Ann, you know, jumped in, just go ahead and jump in. We're doing okay on time still. All right, limited resources, lack of adequate resources, too broad of a vision, not enough focus, rapidly changing landscape. So keeping up with all the changes, having capacity and staff capacity to do so. There's so many grants, it's constant. So lots about staffing and staff resources and need more staff. Too much turnover on the executive board. Not enough staff, lack of adequate staff resources, staff familiarity with cost benefit analysis. Yeah, that's a very technical aspect of grant writing that's required. And then competition with other priorities. So that transportation grants just don't always get to the top or the attention that we might want because there's other priorities from these organizations. Is that everything, Mandy, or does it scroll further?
That's it.
Okay.
Hey, Miles, can I jump in with a comment on that?
Thank you.
I think we see so much reference to staffing for two reasons, and perhaps those reasons can be highlighted, or maybe they are elsewhere. One is we're all facing very significant recruitment challenges. We're having a hard time just filling our vacancies and retaining employees. So it's staffing could always be an issue, but I think you can put an exclamation point on that lately because of the shortage of available employees. The second comment is, and I think it might be mentioned elsewhere, but with ARPA and the CARES funding preceding it, the bill opportunity, now earmarks, all of these things have happened very rapidly. And so the inability to get the grants out the door fast enough. I mean, yes, we have to be mindful of implementing those grants later, but at the city, we're finding challenges just getting the grants written. To illustrate, in the upcoming budget, we have totally restructured our grants team, elevated them to a section and added more positions. It's really hard just to keep up with the need to get the grant applications out the door. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Very helpful. Okay, to stay on track, we got about 5 minutes and 2 more topics. This is just the beginning. This is not the end. Let's go to opportunities. And so opportunities to support the creation of bike ped transit only routes. Many projects align very well with the administration's goals. So we should be competitive. Growth can be good if done well. New people, fresh ideas, and perspective. Learning more about bringing market forces to bear on regional priorities and issues. The new reality of work. Can work from home, or people can work from home or just about anywhere. So how does that impact our transportation system? Leadership on RTAC and statewide coordination of MPOs and COGS is an opportunity. Learning from the sources of others, what makes a good application, success of others. Opportunity to bring in consulting experts, opportunity to create a clear list of priorities and projects. And for each federal grant, I think that goes back somewhat to what Ann was saying, bringing some synthesis and direction. Opportunities in all the funding, which also ties to one of the challenges that Greg was just speaking to. Big focus on federal infrastructure, lots of new funding, and that's what all these say. And an opportunity to seek funding for a mode shift. Opportunity with this new statewide funding with the Governor's SMART initiative. And yeah, lots of availability of funding. Cooperation with BNSF is a strength. They can help us land, or an opportunity to land grants, sharing resources, and then an opportunity to focus the MPO vision. So I think what I'd like to do in the interest of time is go on to threats and then open up the discussion with the full group. So threats external to us over cost of living in Flagstaff. It's the whole staff recruitment issue. There's a threat about vehicle congestion hurting the economy and quality of life. Climate change is going to bring a lot of people here. There's a threat of consensus amidst divergent viewpoints. There's a threat of rural versus urban culture clash, inflation, making things all cost more, last minute changes that are costly, making Flagstaff so great that everyone wants to move here. Practices moving faster than policy. A threat of focusing too much on perfection, people with narrow agendas, growing vehicle traffic or ignoring vehicle traffic. TIA policies prioritize vehicles. That might be internal. So very rapid growth, cost of living, again, economic downturn that we don't control, but that could happen and be a threat. Changing priorities, how complex all these issues are. Lots of threats. ADOT jurisdiction on Milton Highway 180 is a barrier. We need a turn back for community vision. That's a big one to talk about. ADOT, state legislature, mismatch between federal availability and local regional partners, perception that feds are just handing out money, evolving federal funding priorities, state management of infrastructure funding. high local match requirement for federal grants. Too many partners, competition from other people outside of us, lots of competition, lots written about a threat of competition. And that gets to the end. So with that, thank you for all this raw material. It gives us a lot to work on as staff to try to synthesize what you said and then an approach to doing something about it or with it. Before I move on, though, I want to open it up again if somebody's got a burning desire to share.
Miles?
Yes.
Yes, I'm not sure if I heard it, but one of the opportunities that I wrote, and I actually has mentioned this in our RTAC and previous Metro Plan Board meeting, is strengthen the value proposition that transportation is directly linked to economic development, workforce development, and housing. So macroeconomic point of view, my macroeconomic view of transportation. And again, I quote Karen Petty of our Federal Highway Administrator, that transportation is not important for what it is, like roads, bridges, railroad. Transportation is important for what it does. Get people where they need to go and connect them to opportunities. Transportation shapes and support the economy of communities and link them to the economy of other communities.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you for that, council member. We are officially out of time on this topic. I do want to say I appreciate you weighing in. This is not the end. We're going to bring this back and organize it and give you more opportunities to help us develop an approach. I know we're squeezing in a lot. You're all not getting a lot of chance to talk. However, in the last part of this meeting, you're going to go into breakout rooms and be able to do some of that. So I'm going to share my screen and you should be able to see my PowerPoint. And on the agenda, 2:15, breakout rooms with SMART goals, measurable objectives. So I'm sure you're all familiar with this concept of SMART goals being specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time constrained. And what needs to happen, and then the question is, what needs to happen in the next 18 months to move us in the direction that we want to go? And this is a format I'm asking you to work on in your small groups. The format is a verb-ish that I put in red, a noun-ish that I put in blue, and a deadline, so it's time constrained. So an example, apply for the verb X million in grants, the noun by a deadline. Another one might be to double the size of mini grants and distribute the funds by a certain time. Another might be to adopt a vehicle electrification implementation plan by a certain date. And what we're going to do is put you into your breakout rooms, and the moderator or facilitator, it's either going to be Dave or Kate or Jacob, are going to take notes and synthesize as your small group throws information up, and then we'll all go through it together as a group before we end. So I will see you back here after breakout rooms for full discussion. And with that, Rosie's going to move you into your breakout rooms. Cool. Rosie, Mandy, the tech's working really well. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So it doesn't look like Dave is in the platform. Let me go check on him.
So Rosie, what's strange is this time I could log in and start the meeting, but now I don't have access to room controls.
You should be a co-host.
Did you get Dave in there?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Weird. I thought I'd left you as a co-host, but you can do things again. I'm going to pause the recording.
I accidentally clicked the button as it came up. So I booted myself from my room.
No problem.
It's okay. They're not far behind you.
All right, that's what I figured. We had a hard time getting things smart.
Yeah. That's often the way it goes.
Being recorded. Recording in progress.
Right. Looks like you're all coming back.
It's a hard return.
What's that, Chair?
A hard return. The camera went off. So we had no choice. We had a good discussion.
Yeah, it's called a shepherd's hook. I know everybody got pulled back. And now we're going to go through these. While you've been in your rooms, Mandia has been grouping like items. And we're going to try to talk through some of them and then still give you time to go and individually prioritize these items. So I'm going to do what I can with you to synthesize, and then we'll give you a chance to prioritize before we wrap up today. So the first one I see on my screen is to the blue group said to update modeling criteria in coordination with Metro Plan. The blue group also said study possibility of route transfer turnback in coordination with roadway improvements this summer. Two distinct items. G, understand how land use policies affect transportation. Not sure how to make that one a SMART goal. G, refine vision to have the green group, refine vision to have defined goals. Example, reduce vehicle miles traveled. Is this refining the vision of Metro Plan overall?
Yes, I think that was what it was referring to.
Okay. Coordinate with other agencies to achieve similar goals. Develop collaborative approach to grant writing to improve member agency success. Okay, similar. Establish grant partnership X months prior to grants being opened. That's pretty clear. The green group said share staff resources to encourage leveraging of resources. Okay. Another group said, I guess it's the blue group perhaps, I don't know, reconcile agency policies before grants open. Reconcile agency policies before grants open. Can someone speak to that a little bit? I'm not sure what it means.
It was the Blue Group, and we were trying to work through the issues of that there are sometimes different policies between agencies, particularly we were talking about ADOT versus city, and you have to work through these, policy issues prior to having grants open where there are conflicts. It is not nowhere near a SMART goal. We recognize that.
Okay. No, well, thank you. I mean, I'm hearing, make sure there aren't conflicts between the organizations because we're less competitive to get the grant, and then we're less capable of delivering it if it's got inherent conflict. All right, the red group, coordinate, maximize use of earmark requests for various transportation projects. Debrief application with partners and funding agencies after successful or unsuccessful applications, so we're more successful next time. What I love the clarity of this. What I want to say is, as staff, as we sort through it and then bring it back to you, this one strikes me as more of a practice, which is great, and less of a SMART goal. Just it's kind of the way we do business. Get funding for downtown mile by the end of the year. All right. Ambitious and clear and time constrained. Create a clear plan for future applications, needed partnerships, and who is responsible well ahead of the notice of funding opportunity. And I think that's consistent with some of the other collaborations we saw above. Improve north-south transportation through Flagstaff, including Milton 180. Develop a plan for Milton US 180 route transfer to assist the city with approvals by June 2024. All right, that's very clear, and I'll be real interested to see how it scores when you rate. West Route 66 CMP continuation, assist in design of the new Bilton Bridge by the 2023, assist the city with finalizing JWP corridor plans by December 2022. Very clear, assist the city with JWP coordination of private properties. Very clear. Bring 2 million to MP projects now. I think the R is not for Red, it's for Regina, because I was in the room when you said that. The next R is transform the transportation system to emphasize equity between modes. Initiate collaboration and partnership with regional and tribal leaders for shuttle services between Flagstaff and nations by December 2023. Very clear, thank you. That's very much a SMART goal. Strengthen shuttle services between the reservations and communities across the county. Still clear. Continue to facilitate multimodal shift. MetroPlan needs to take leadership. Can someone talk about that a little bit more? I'm not sure how to make. Green Group, can you clarify?
Yeah, that was kind of a comment that Dan had made about just that there's kind of a move towards this multimodal shift away from, the automobile, and that MetroPlan really needs to be kind of taking leadership of coordinating the different agencies involved in kind of this multimodal shift, Mountain Line, the city, ADOT. And yeah, that was kind of the point of that goal.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, evaluate impacts of multimodal shift, ties in, invest more in bike trails and lanes. By 2024, expand electrification of private vehicle fleets, a couple of those identically worded. And does that bring us to the bottom?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so this is the first time we've been able to do this in advance. You're all going to be able to click on a link and go back into the rooms and drag a slider and prioritize these things. And if one person makes it the highest and one person makes it the lowest, it's going to come out right in the middle. So it'll be the aggregate of everybody's effort. So Mandia, can you put that link in chat? And please everyone click on that and start sliding your sliders. So, yeah, everybody should be able to be moving their sliders, and then should we be able to see reports, Mandy, on who's done and who isn't?
Let me put up our participant list here and then we should be able to see.
Okay. And I'm not gonna prioritize them. I'm gonna close out. And let everyone else do that part. It's not a race, but it feels like one. Because I see people, I see the green bar moving. I'm glad we have time for y'all to do this and think it through. This is the last thing really before we just wrap up. Okay, looks like quite a few are getting done. I think we're okay staying in here and doing this work. I think it's important. It looks like about a third of you have done all of them.
Miles, somehow I lost mine. I assume it was done, so.
Oh, okay. Actually, I don't know if I'm seeing it. Mandy, do you know if Supervisor Horseman's?
I did see you on here earlier and I think it said that you were finished.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah, all of a sudden it would just disappeared, so I think I was close to finish and it just poof, it was gone.
Oh, no.
You know, that's one thing about your computers, they're just magic.
It is magic. Mandy, I went offline. Can you scroll down and see if Supervisor Horseman is, there she is. Okay, and complete. Excellent. So as you complete and close, you'll show as offline. It looks like you're all almost done.
confirm to the far right was a 10 and the far left was a 1. I hope so.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yeah, and should we close our windows when we're done?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and do that? And I think Mandy can go ahead and put up results now, even if some people are still finishing.
Sure, give me just 1 second here.
Excellent. So to Rick Barrett's point, our assumption was, and I wish I'd stated this clearly earlier, is that 1 is low and 10 is high. So you drag the bar across to the far right side if it's your highest priority. And if anybody didn't do it that way, shoot me a chat message and we'll figure it out. So everything's a high priority. No, I'm kidding. There's a lot here. There's a lot for us to go on as staff to refine and bring back to all of you. We're going to take some, I would say, liberties and refining these a bit, and we'll maintain the raw material so that, you know, if we miss something or an intent that you wanted to express, we lost, you know, you'll have a chance to make sure that we get it back. And with that, I also sent out just an email asking you all to reply directly to me with that email if any feedback you have on this advance. Good, bad, indifferent, just so I can learn from it and we can make it better next year. And we're doing great on time. I'm going to turn it back over to the chair to close out. Before I do, though, I just want to thank you all for making the time to be here. I want to thank Sarah and the city team for working with Mandia and giving us this new technology to use. And I want to thank you all for what you do, keeping our transportation system moving and everything else you do in the community. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to turn it back to you.
I was muted. Is it Mandia or Rosie? Before we move into e-session, we'll need a motion, of course, but do we have the other people available that are going to be involved?
Chair McCarthy, I can call Rhonda right now and see if she can log on a little bit early.
Okay, so why don't you do that? And that should take like 1 or 2 minutes.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Actually, I will move that we go into executive session, and then once we get in there, we can wait. We can start as soon as we get the needed people. So could I get a second on my motion to move into executive session?
I'll second.
All right. Who was that? Tony?
Tony.
Tony, thank you. Tony Williams seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed?
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously, I believe. So we will go into our breakout executive session at this point.
Is that going to be automatic?
We have
Rosie will send you there.
Give me just a moment. I have to reset everything.
Oh, no
And-
problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rosie, while
we
you're
have a
taking a
bio
moment,
break
I'm
in
going to
between,
turn off
please?
my computer or disconnect it, and I'll unmute the conference room computer. So Jesse should still be engaged. So I'll confirm that all is all working.
Jesse will be engaged and you'll be leaving the room. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm going to answer for Dave. I think he just muted, but we'll leave the room and Jesse will have the conference room to himself.
And
All right.
just to confirm, can you still hear the conference room?
Yes, we can.
Okay, excellent. I will depart.
Have a good day, everyone.
You just stay here. You're fine.
Thank you, India. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mandy, everybody.
Thank you.
So it looks like people are dropping off. And Rosie, I just want to confirm that you're going to move the board into a separate Zoom room, right?
Correct. Yes, Chair McCarthy and Jeff, Miles, I did not reach Rhonda, but I'm going to try her again. And I do have the breakout room ready for you, so I can move you over there now.
All right, move me there and then we'll just wait until we get Rhonda.
She just texted me that she'll log in now.
Okay, and Brandon was supposed to be on this call also.
I will call him next.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, can we get like a 2-minute bio break? 'Cause we've
Yeah, I
been
think
going
that's a good
for an hour.
idea.
Okay, well, I won't move you then. I'll wait for you to come back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go get a drink of water.
Thanks for your time. I guess the rest of us, the meeting's over.
Yeah, sorry about that, Rick. It was a little anticlimactic and unclear with the closing. Thank you very much for.
Yeah, and I've been
participating.
focused. I just got a little confused on what all happened.
Yeah, the board's going into executive session and then everyone else is just leaving the main room.
Okay, and we're not coming back.
Nope, we're done at 3 o'clock, so we're done now.
Good enough. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you very much.
Right, this is Jim. You can move me over.
Hi, Rhonda. If you're ready, I'll move you over. They're ready for you.
Thanks.
Hi, Brandon.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us. I'm going to move you over. We're ready for you.
Rosie, is everyone back? I assume so.
Chair McCarthy, we're waiting on Jesse. The conference room didn't move automatically.
Okay.
They would like to do the. Oh, really? Jesse's coming in. He just
Okay.
needs a second.
I think we can actually get started at this point. Mr. Mailback, I just wanted to tell you that the board has come to an agreement on a contract, and we will meet with you personally. And by we, I mean myself and the other two members of the ad hoc committee, which are Geronimo Vasquez and Regina Salas. And we will coordinate with you and have a sit down and go over a contract proposal and discuss it with you. So I think that's and we will send a draft. We'll send our document to you within the next day or so that you have a chance to look at it. And then we'll meet with you. So I think we can finish up the final business on the regular meeting here. We have the next item is closing business, items from the board. Let's go around. Geronimo, did you have any items for the board this month?
Actually, I did. I was just curious. I met with a constituent this morning who was talking about the condition of the roads out in the Fernwood Timberline area. And I believe they're county maintained roads, but I did want to just kind of plant the seed and see what kind of projects are out there to help bring funding out to some of those outlying areas in the greater Flagstaff area to help, improve some of the roads. So that would be all that. And if you haven't voted for redistricting yet or put in your public comment, please do so. April 12th is the deadline. Thank you.
Patrice Horseman?
What Supervisor Vasquez said.
You guys are a team out there at the county. All right. Austin Aslan.
Yeah, just real briefly, thank you very much for a great meeting today. Thank you for facilitating that wonderful advance. Miles, really appreciate it. Sorry I wasn't more vocal. I was double booked from previously and we changed our meeting times, but that was something that I couldn't move. So I was trying to do both at once and do it on the phone. I wasn't able to play with the toggle, the interactive stuff that you had going. I paid attention to the best of my ability and really appreciated the time together with all those folks. Thank you.
Thank you, Austin. Tony Williams.
Yes, Chairman McCarthy, I'd just like to thank Miles for the advance today. I thought the delivery was well done. It's hard in the Zoom environments to pull that kind of thing off, and the SWOT analysis and the tools that you used today, Jeff, Miles, I thought were exceptionally well delivered, and thank you for that time. The meeting today was great. That's all I have to add.
Right. Thank you so much. Regina Salas.
I'm looking for the video. There you go.
There you go.
I bring great news. I think the last time at the last meeting, I talked about House Bill 2396 as dead on arrival with the House Appropriations Committee. However, at our RTAC Executive Board meeting last week, the original House Bill 2396 with the 36 local projects and 2.6 million will go to Lone Tree Overpass has been revived. Apparently, Senate President Karen Fann supports that version of the bill and the local projects. And we may have support, and we'll have support of the majority leader, Senator Gray, and potentially the majority whip was supportive of local project as well. So we may likely bring 2.6 million to Lone Tree Overpass when legislature passed the budget for next fiscal year.
Thank you,
The
Regina.
the other version of that was referenced by Miles earlier, which prioritize ADOT projects, 9.7 million for 180 pavement rehabilitation from Snowball Road to Deadman Flat Road, and 14 million for US 160 into the city, pavement rehabilitation from milepost 321 to milepost 355. But that version of the bill is close to 800 million, 900 million miles, something like that. So now the state legislature has an option to either choose the 50 million version or the 800 million version.
I'd suggest they do both. No, all kidding aside, thank you so much for the work you put into this, and the MetroPlan staff, obviously, and RTAC, but good teamwork. Thank you. Jesse Thompson, any closing items for today?
Appreciate all of you and the staff, Jeff. And I think this was a good discussion. We did what we needed to get done. So thank you very much. And I believe that keeping our vision as is what I would recommend. Thank you.
Okay, I'll make a quick comment, and then Miles, I'll let you see if you have any closing comments. My only thought is at some point we should probably consider going back to in-person meetings. And you know, I don't know, Jeff, if you want to put that on the agenda for next time or whatever, but I at least get a feel from the team here. I know City Council is meeting in person now. And anyway, so I'm going to give it to you, Jeff, and any closing comments, and then I'll go on to, I'll just mention it now. Our next meeting is May 5th at 1 o'clock. And then Jeff, do you have any closing comments? I think you're muted.
I want to say thank you all for being here, and also all of the consideration and hours that you have put into considering my contract. I know it's not easy, and thank you very much for weighing in on that.
And we will be getting back to you soon on that.
If I may.
Yeah, Ms. Horstman, please.
Thank you. And just a heads up, Board of Supervisors is going to be going into our budget process. And it's for the week of May 2nd to the 5th, and then May 9th to the 12th. So certainly both Supervisor Vasquez and myself may miss that meeting. So just a heads up on that.
Okay, well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, you got to plan a budget and you got to pass a budget sometime.
No, when I say unfortunate, I know you have to do it because City Council, I can't skip the budget meetings. No. Jeff, would we want to consider maybe this 1 month moving it to a different date if we could find a date that would work for everyone?
I'd like to consider it with you, maybe when this, well, I guess actually I can hear from you all now. I will tell you, I feel like once we start moving meetings, we end up chasing our tails. And my preference is always to set them and then either cancel it and or not reschedule. And in fact, we just did reschedule to move things to Thursday.
Right.
And now we'd be changing again, and that kind of, in my experience, things can kind of unravel in that way. But that's my rigid perspective. So if the board wants me to move the time, absolutely, we'll find another time.
Well, unless anybody contacts you, then we'll probably leave it as is.
Okay, and we might be able to move everything to June. I just don't know that until I look at the weight of the items in front of us.
You could see what the urgency is. If it's just routine stuff, whatever.
Okay.
And of course, we don't meet in July, I believe. So,
And we will miss you, but you can keep, we will miss being here, but you can keep us informed. So I don't want you to do anything extraordinary, obviously. We'll be back after we're through with budget.
And if necessary, we can always ask one of our district directors to sit in on the meeting so they can keep us up to date as well.
that's a great idea. I know you have some good help there. Do we have any other final comments before I adjourn?
Miles, I appreciate your logic, which I'm sure comes from your deep wisdom about chasing our tails by switching meeting times around. As we already saw today, switching to Thursdays long-term is great for me, but for the first time, I had another overlap that I couldn't change. But of course, the space is dedicated on my calendar now. And I think you're right about changing meeting times. We're all creatures of habit, and it's dangerous to just have a floating target there. So I agree with you.
Okay. Any other comments? All right, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. And the last thing I'm going to say is thank you for everybody for attending and for doing your homework. So we are adjourned.